Oh, hey! Hold on, I'll be right there. I really got something. I got something for you today. Look at this. Look at this what I found. It's all dusty. Look at that. Blah. But let's test it out. We're gonna find out and see if it works. Hi, I'm Scott Franklin Ree. Welcome to the Shadowlands, where I'm in a shadow band. Be good. It's great out here. It's something I always talk about. Let me show you. Never without it. Brave New World, 1932. Helps me navigate this weird, disgusting future that assholes like Aldous Huxley and his brother Julian thrust upon us, and then had the nerve, to do something really disgusting. Read the damn book. Aldous Huxley reads Brave New World with great BBC productions and blah, 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 blah. You know what I had to go through? I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's a thumb drive. It's before they had the Mind-Fi. There was thumb drives. These little beauties, this one right here, where's my light? See that? Doesn't work. That little thumb drive, guess what's on there? Brave New World as read by the author, Aldous Huxley. You know how I always say, I love it. Hi. I love it when the authors read their books. It's cool. Like, even if they can't read that well, it's cool when the guy who wrote the story reads the story, and I like it. I do. I got it. Let's see if this thing works. Let's let this bad boy rip. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Put this in there. This is a thumb drive. Before there was Mind-Fi, before you jacked into the Matrix in your mind and the back of your neck like Neo and Trinity and Lawrence Fishburne, there was this. Let's see if it works. Let's try and make it dramatic. Welcome to the Shadowlands, where I'm in a shadow band. I'm your host, Scott Franklin Ree. I'm the man of pop culture. This is one of the things what inculated our pop culture, the Brave New World. The loss of melody and all music, all kinds of crazy stuff that's happening in the world that you're living in 2019 is all predicted in a book. This book was published in 1932 and copyright before then, I think, like that. But here's the book. Millions of copies sold. And guess what? I had to go through so much shit to get this for you. I got it. This better work. Where's my thing? The plug. I want to show you everything. Okay, look. Might as well. This is called what a man and a woman used to do when they were allowing for a man and a woman. And it gives power. Not Captain Marvel bullshit power, real power. The power to discover the Brave New World. I promise you guys, it's a Brave New World. Brave New World do a book club? No, we're going to listen to it. Let's see if we can get this thing going. Alright? Ta-da! Yeah! Next step. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Function. Power. You gotta have power. Okay, cool. Boom. I gotta look at it now. Boom. Now let's go. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Where's the button? No. No. That's a radio station.
Ladies and gentlemen,
ooh,
the distinguished author, Mr. Aldous Huxley.
This is the one.
Brave New World.
Cool. Hold on. I'll start over again for you. Hold on. I want to make sure you can hear it. I'm not going to hold it the whole damn time either. So, I'm back. Dangerous shit. You ready to go? I got it queued up. Let's do it.
This is all the sounds of the Brave New World, of test tube and decanter, of hissing injectors and gurgling blood substitute. The year is AF 632, 632 years after Ford. We are inside the London Hatchery and Conditioning Centre, and this is the fertilizing room, an enormous laboratory where the temperature is never allowed to fall below 98.6. And here comes the Director of Hatcheries and Conditioning in person, bringing with him A group
Tomorrow,
of young
you will
students.
be settling down to serious work. Today, I just want to give you a general idea of things. These are the incubators, and here is the week's supply of ova, kept at blood heat. Come along, boys. Now here, we immerse the eggs into a warm bouillon containing free-swimming spermatozoa. Immersion continues until the eggs are all fertilized. Oh, and over here is where we bottle the alphas and betas. In short, gentlemen, the perfect process for manufacturing healthy babies. Are there any questions?
Sir, will you explain the Bakanovsky process?
I'm glad you asked that. Students, take this down. Bakanovsky's process, where in olden times one egg made one embryo which made one baby. Today we've improved on all that. Now the egg will divide from 8 to 96 buds, and every bud will grow into a perfectly formed embryo, and every embryo into a mature baby, making 96 human beings grow where only one grew before. Progress.
But what advantage is it, sir?
Oh, my good boy, can't you see? Where in olden times nature allowed us only to have twins or perhaps triplets or so, today we can create scores, yes, scores of identical individuals. We can manufacture men and women in uniform batches. Think of it. An entire factory staffed with the product of one single egg. 96 identical individuals working 96 identical machines. At last, society really knows where it stands. Remember, it was our Ford who gave us the concept of the assembly line when he was on Earth many centuries ago. And now, boys, we will go up to the bottling room where we shall see how we create each class of society. Alphas, betas, deltas, etc. Come with me.
I'm an alpha, you're a beta. 1932.
Where, Delina?
Oh, director.
Oh, charming, charming. What are you injecting into our embryos today, my dear? Typhoid antitoxin?
Yes, sir.
Are you busy this afternoon?
Oh, not after 5, sir.
Good. Suppose we get together then on the roof.
That would be fine.
I've admired you for some time, Lenina. I'm looking forward to a closer acquaintance.
Thank you, sir.
And now, boys, we're off to the bottling room.
You are a lucky girl. The director of hatcheries and conditioning. Oh, hello, Fanny. Oh, you can trust the director to be the perfect gentleman. I saw him pat you. He wants me. You see? That shows what he stands for. The strictest conventionality. And it's about time you started belonging to someone else, my dear.
But I like Henry Foster. We've only been with each other 4 months.
4 months? Well, what would the district world controller say? You know how he disapproves anything intense or long-drawn. And it isn't as though there were anything painful or disagreeable about being with 1 or 2 other men besides Henry. After all, everyone belongs to everyone else.
You're quite right, Fanny, as usual.
Good girl.
Fanny, do you know Bernard Marx?
Bernard
Well, why not? Bernard's an Alpha Plus. Besides, he asked me to go to New Mexico, to the Savage Reservation with him.
But his reputation... They say he doesn't like obstacle golf.
Oh, they say.
And that he spends most of his time by himself alone. They say somebody made a mistake when he was still in the bottle. Thought he was a gamma and put alcohol into his blood substitute. That's why he's so stunted.
Oh, what nonsense.
Well, very well, Lenina. It's your life, my dear. But I think you're heading for trouble.
And here we have the bottling room. Little embryos carefully bottled being rocked gently to and fro as they did in olden days when carried by their mothers. Now, boys, you must learn to distinguish between smut and science. I'm going to use that word again. As scientists of tomorrow, you must learn to cope with it. Mother. There, that's better. As a matter of fact, there is an area in our world where humans are still viviparous, still give birth to their children. The Savage Reservation in New Mexico. I visited there once myself, many years ago. Dreadful, filthy place. Naturally, civilization has improved on all that. It is here we control the embryo's growth, each batch carefully regulated to produce the exact class of citizen we desire. And here is our Mr. Henry Foster in charge of bottling. Oh, Henry.
Yes, sir.
Please explain the process to the students.
Oh, delighted, sir.
By the way, Henry, before you begin, I made a date with Lenina Crown this afternoon.
Oh, really? I'm delighted, sir. I'm sure you'll enjoy belonging to her.
Good. Very pneumatic girl. Now, please proceed.
This way, gentlemen. Here, we advance the process. One by one, the eggs are transferred from their test tubes into these larger decanters and moved along to the labelers, carefully labeled as to heredity, date of fertilization, sex, name, serial number. Gentlemen, there are 88 cubic feet of card index in this room. Now, here is where we actually predestine and condition. Nothing is so unstabilizing to society as unhappy people. We avoid all that by preconditioning our embryos.
Oh, what?
And now we are entering the heat conditioning room.
That's my best
Hot
job.
tunnels alternating with cool tunnels. Exposure to cold is accompanied by exposure to X-rays. By the time these babies are decanted, they have a perfect horror of cold. Thus, they are perfectly prepared to emigrate to the tropics, to be miners and acetate silk spinners, and steel workers.
And that is the secret of happiness and virtue, liking what you have got to do. All conditioning aims at that, making people like their unescapable social destiny. Oh, 10 to 3, boys. Time to visit the nurseries.
Nurseries. CRISPR kids. All that shit.
And so the director continued on his tour. Meanwhile, in his rooms high above the city, Bernard Marx nervously paced the floor.
I'm taking Lenina Crown in
Marx.
Mexico with me, Helmholtz, to the Savage Reservation.
Well, it's about time.
What do you mean by that?
I'll be frank, Bernard. There's been a lot of talk about your behavior at the College of Emotional Engineering. Of course, I've been defending you.
And I'm supposed to be grateful? Because you're a successful feelies writer? Because you're tall, well-built, have all the girls you want?
Oh, Bernard. Now, you know how I feel. I want to write. I mean, seriously, not slogans or feelies. I want to write something important. Lately, I've been cutting out my committees and my girls. The director called me in just the other day.
Are you in trouble, too?
There's a poem I wrote, too emotional, he said. He gave me the lecture about being an alpha plus, about remembering to behave even as a little infant.
I know.
I'm an
I
alpha.
tried to explain to Lenina, but she doesn't understand. Or won't understand.
Hey, guys.
All those other men she belongs to, Henry Foster, Benito Hoover, they treat her like a side of beef. It's disgusting.
It's socially proper. We share and we share alike, remember?
But I want her for myself, alone.
Bernard, you're my closest friend. Now, you listen to me. You can't win this way. Follow the rules. Play the game. Be happy.
No pairing up in the future. What do I always tell you? 1932. You can see how we're headed that way. This
The
book
nursery
sucks.
was on the 5th floor. The sign over the door said, Neo-Pavlovian Conditioning Room. It was a large, bare room, very bright and sunny. Half a dozen nurses, trousered and jacketed in the regulation white viscose linen uniform, were engaged in setting out bowls of roses in a long row across the floor. The nurses stiffened to attention as the director of hatcheries and conditioning came in, followed by his students.
Set out the books.
In silence, the nurses obeyed his command. Between the rose bowls, the books were duly set out.
Now bring in the children.
They hurried out of the room and returned in a moment, each pushing a kind of tall, dumb waiter, laden on all its 4 wire-netted shelves with 8-month-old babies, all exactly alike, a Bokanovsky group, and all, since their caste was Delta, dressed in khaki diapers.
Put them down on the floor.
Khaki.
Now turn them so they can see the flowers and books.
Turned, the babies at once fell silent, then began to crawl towards those clusters of sleek colors, those shapes so gay and brilliant. From the ranks of the babies came little squeals of excitement, gurgles and twitterings of pleasure. The swiftest crawlers were already at their goal. Small hands reached out uncertainly, touched, grasped, unpetaling the roses, crumpling the illuminated pages of the books.
Watch carefully, students. All right, nurses, pull the lever. And now we proceed to rub in the lesson with a mild electric shock. That's enough. All right, take them away, nurses. Observe. Henceforth, books and flowers will be associated in their minds with loud, unpleasant noises and electric shock. And after 200 repetitions of the same or a similar lesson, will be wedded forever. What man has joined, nature is powerless to put asunder. They'll be safe from books and botany all their lives.
But, sir, since these are lower caste children anyway and will never read, why bother to condition them against flowers?
Simple economics. If gammas, deltas, or even epsilons like flowers in nature, soon you'd see them wasting their time visiting the countryside. And of what economic use is that? A love of nature keeps no factories busy. It was decided to abolish it, at least among the lower classes. Any further questions?
Sir, would you tell us about sleep teaching?
I'm glad you asked that. The most ingenious development of all, sleep teaching, is given to all our children as they grow to maturity. A little voice murmurs slogans in their ear all the night long while they sleep. Of course, it's useless for teaching, but as a method for giving post-hypnotic suggestions, it is invaluable. It's what conditions our minds to love our future role in life. Now, boys, tell me some of the lessons we've all learned through sleep teaching.
A gram is better than a dam.
A good example. We have learned to take a gram of soma whenever we feel out of sorts. Euphoric, narcotic, pleasantly hallucinant. It transports our minds into a beautiful sleep filled with wonderful images. It gives a soma holiday, thus preventing unnecessary impulses such as anger, jealousy, envy, anxiety. Next.
Ending is better than mending.
Good. It's better to throw away something than to repair it. New clothing, new possessions keep our factories humming and make us happier. Next.
I'm glad I'm not a gamma.
Ah, yes. We're all taught in our sleep to enjoy our own caste, whatever it may be. Gammas are taught to think, I'm glad I'm not an epsilon. Betas learn to be glad they're not deltas or gammas.
And glad they're not alphas, because we alphas sometimes have to use our minds, and that's very painful.
Very good indeed. Well, students, I think our tour is over for today. I'm sure most of you have dates with pneumatic young ladies. Some, of course, will be wanting to get in a game of obstacle golf. But before we finish, I'd like to add a few footnotes to the things you've seen today. Today, we have a controlled society, a happy society. We have stability. Ah, there was a time when these things did not exist.
Didn't people grow old and feeble in those days, sir?
Indeed they did. Old men in the bad old days used to renounce, retire, take to religion, spend their time reading, thinking. Now, such is progress. At 60, we have the tastes and the powers of a 17-year-old. The old men have no time, no leisure from pleasure, not a moment to sit down and think. They're much too busy scampering from feely to feely, from girl to pneumatic girl. Fortunate boys, no pains have been spared to make your lives emotionally easy, to preserve you as far as possible from having emotions at all. Ford's in his flivver, all's well with the world.
Ford's in his flivver, all's well with the world.
And solemnly and devoutly they made the sign of the T and hurried off to join their fellow citizens at play.
That was Aldous' voice. He does it in between. I think he does the one voice that head sperminator director.
In spite of Fanny's dire warnings, Lenina Crown made a date that evening with the eccentric Mr. Marks, partly to show Fanny her courage and partly because she was curious. When they were safely in their helicopter and climbing above the city, she turned to him.
Shall we play escalator squash or go to the fields?
Escalator squash is a waste of time.
But what else is time for? All right, then, let's go to the Feelies. You know, they're showing love on a bearskin rug, and everyone says it's terribly exciting. You can
Lenina,
actually
please,
feel...
couldn't we just go for a walk and be alone together?
But, Bernard, we'll be alone all night.
Well, I meant alone for talking.
Talking? Well, what about? Oh, you're beginning to feel nasty, I can tell. Take a soma, Bernard.
I'd rather be myself and nasty, not somebody else, however jolly.
A gammon 9 saves 9.
Oh, for Ford's sake, be quiet.
Bernard.
Lenina, don't you ever want to be just you? Not enslaved by your own conditioning, to be free.
But I am free. I'm free to have the most wonderful time. Everybody's happy nowadays.
But wouldn't you like to be free to be happy in your own way and not somebody else's?
I simply don't understand you. Bernard, do you really like me? Everyone says I'm awfully pneumatic.
Pneumatic him. Get him.
Eventually, Bernard took Lenina to the Westminster Abbey Cabaret, where Calvin Stopes and his 16 saxophonists were playing. Also featured was London's finest scent and colour organ, and all the latest synthetic music. With the aid of 4 Soma tablets, Bernard managed to spend a successful evening with the girl, and the next morning he agreed to apply at once for a permit to visit the Savage Reservation. He was quite nervous as he stood before the large desk of the Director of Hatcheries and Conditioning.
Oh, going to take Lenina Crown, I see.
Yes, sir.
Very pneumatic.
Yes, sir.
New Mexico Reservation. How long ago was it? Let me see. 25 years? I must have been your age then.
Sir?
I had the same idea as you. Wanted to have a look at the Savages. Got a permit for New Mexico and went there for my summer holiday. With my girl of the moment. She was a beta minus, I think. Oh, yes. She had yellow hair and was especially pneumatic. Well, it was terrible. We rode about on horses and all that, and the last day of our stay, she got lost. Somewhere in those horrid mountains. Lost. We never did find her, poor girl. Must have fallen in some crevice. Yes, we searched for days, but no luck. Miserable trip.
Oh, you must have had a terrible shock.
What? Oh, don't imagine there was anything unethical about it. Nothing emotional or long drawn. It was all perfectly healthy and normal.
I'm sure it was, sir.
What's that? Oh. Mr. Marks, I should like to take this opportunity of saying I'm not at all pleased with the reports I receive of your behavior outside working hours. Alphas are so conditioned that they do not have to be infantile in their emotional behavior, but that is all the more reason for their making a special effort to conform. And so, Mr. Marks, I give you fair warning.
Yes, sir.
If ever I again hear of any lapse from a proper standard of infantile decorum, I shall ask for your transference to a subcenter, preferably to Iceland. Good morning.
So it's like Epstein's egg island where he wants to make all the clone babies. It's Brave New World
The
shit.
journey was quite uneventful. The Blue Pacific rocket lost 4 minutes in a tornado over Texas, but was able to land at Santa Fe less than 40 seconds behind schedule. Lenina and Bernard slept that night at Santa Fe, and Lenina was very happy.
Imagine 60 escalator squash racket courts in the hotel, and obstacle and electromagnetic golf, too. Oh, Bernard, it's simply too lovely.
There will be no scent organs, television, or even hot water once we get out on the reservation.
I can stand it. You'll see. Only progress is lovely, isn't it?
She's nuts. What's wrong with Lenina? She needs a husband. She needs one good man, a good steady man.
They took a rocket ship into the interior, and from there they traveled on horseback. And all Bernard could think about was Iceland, and how cold and barren it would be. The director's warning had made him even quieter and more sullen than usual. And then, that evening, they reached their destination. Before them was the village of Malpais, situated on a mesa. Adobe hovels growing out of the stony ground, dust and squalor, and the smell of wood smoke.
What an awful place. I don't like it. Who's that man coming toward us?
He used to be our guide.
I'm frightened, Bernard.
Quiet.
We shouldn't have come.
Oh, good morrow. You're civilized, aren't you?
You come from outside? From the other place?
My name is Bernard Marx. This is Lenina Crown.
My name is John. Come with me.
He speaks English. That's strange.
Probably trained as a guide.
Where is he leading us?
To that hut, I believe. There seems to be some sort of activity over there.
Orgy! Why, it's like our lower caste community sing. Only look. Now they're beating themselves with whips. Oh, no, Bernard.
It's got something to do with their religion. What a wonderful intensity of feeling it must generate. I often think one may have missed something in not having passions like that.
Nonsense. Bernard, what's wrong with that man?
Well, he's just old, that's all.
Old? But we don't look like that when we're old. He's so wrinkled, oh, it's horrible.
That's because we age all at once. We stay 17 until we're 60 or so, and
then we die, and they burn our bodies and recover the phosphorus for the good of the world state, just as it should be. But this...
What is it?
That woman! Oh, Bernard, no. Take me away.
She's only nursing her baby, Lenina. That's her child. She's the mother.
Bernard, how can you be so vulgar? I think I'll be sick. Please, Bernard, anywhere.
Is something wrong?
I think we better take Lenina inside.
Over here. Follow me.
She's seeing a woman with a baby.
I'm out of stoma. Bernard.
I'm sorry, Lenina. I didn't bring him.
Oh.
Here. Inside. This is my home. This is my home. You are welcome to remain here.
John?
Yes, Mother?
Mother?
These are people from the outside, Mother. They have come to see the reservation.
From the other place? You're from the other place. Don't come near me. But don't you see, I'm from there, too. I'm civilized. I don't belong here. It's all a terrible mistake.
This is my mother, Linda. Were you born here?
No, I tell you, I was decanted like normal people. Oh, thank Ford, someone has come. At last, thank Ford. Bernard, please keep her away.
Could you tell us about yourself, please?
Well, I came here 25 years ago with a man. His name was Thomas. We went riding together. On horses. There was a terrible storm. I got lost in this horrible place. It was the last day of our stay. He left me here, alone.
Lenina?
Yes?
You will be interested to know that our director of hatcheries and conditioning is named Thomas, and that he came here 25 years ago.
Oh, no.
And that...
It can't be.
But it is. He told me so himself.
What a discovery. This boy is our director's son. Our director is a father.
Oh, it's too horrible.
Mother, what is he saying?
Iceland indeed.
Bernard, stop it.
Well, we'll see who tells who where to go now.
John. Yes, sir? How would you and your mother like to return to civilization?
Do you mean it? Oh, please, do you? Listen, they're crazy here. I was a beta minus. I always worked in the fertilizing room. I was a good worker. But how can I tell them? They don't understand. They mend things. They don't know what a helicopter is or soma. They have babies like dogs. Oh, it's too revolting. Oh, thank Ford. If it hadn't been for my son, for John, what a comfort he has been to me. Your son? How can you? You, a beta minus. I know, but he's been a comfort to me just the same. If only I'd had Soma. Oh, do you mean it? Will you take us back to civilization?
Of course. We'll leave tomorrow. You and your son. Back to civilization.
John's mom is nut. I always thought it was Paul the Savage. I always say Paul. I'm thinking of the Beatles or something. It's John the Savage. Dumbass.
And Bernard was as good as his word. That very night, he and John and his mother and Lenina took the Blue Pacific rocket to London. For Lenina, it was a happy trip, since she had taken 4 somas the minute they got back to the hotel. For John, it was a voyage of discovery. Poor Linda, his mother, could only weep for joy. But for Bernard, it was a moment of triumph. triumph such as he had never known before.
A lot of exposition. It has to be. Let you know where you live. It's just all about the future. It's just all like the Plandopolis. Remember the Plandopolis?
Brave New World, Part 1, by Aldous Huxley. A startling, shocking account of what can happen to our civilization 600 years in the future.
I gotta keep interrupting it.
And more importantly, a warning to all of us against the destruction of moral standards, family life, and the soul of man. Join us next week when we will continue with Part 2 of Aldous Huxley's terrifying forecast of the future of what could become the brave new world. Presented on the CBS Radio Workshop.
He wrote the book. Aldous Huxley wrote this in 1932. And this is a recording of his voice. He's a narrator.
The CBS Radio Workshop is produced and directed by William True.
Anyway, I gotta get...
Brave New World.
Let's go through this.
Was adapted for radio by Mr. True. Featured in the cast were Joseph Kearns, Bill Idelson, Gloria Henry, Charlotte Lawrence, Byron Kane, Sam Edwards, Jack...
This is part 2. I just had to do a quick cut.
This is Aldous Huxley. In the garden outside the London Hatchery and Conditioning Centre, it was playtime. Naked in the warm June sunshine, 600 or 700 little boys and girls were running with shrill yells over the lawns, or playing games, or squatting silently in 2s and 3s among the flowering shrubs. And strolling across the smooth turf came the director of hatcheries and conditioning, followed eagerly by a group of new students.
And here we have playtime for our little tots. Notice the games, all carefully constructed to use as many mechanical devices as possible. In olden times, children used to play simple games using only a ball and a bat. Oh, madness. Nothing was added to increase consumption. Then came our Ford. He taught us the principle of mass production in the assembly line many centuries ago and changed all that.
Good morning, Director.
Sir, what an unexpected pleasure. Boys, this is the resident controller for Western Europe. This is his Fordship, Mustafa Mond.
Boys?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. I was just showing the students the children, sir.
Lovely children. Busy as bees at their unrestricted play.
Controller, if you have the time, I wonder if you might tell the students something about the bad old days.
I might. Where are you taking them?
To the Hatchery and Conditioning Center to see the manufacturing of the babies.
Very well. I'll walk along with you. Yes, in the old days, children lived in a place called home. A rabbit hole with suffocating intimacies. Maniacally, the mother, please don't be shocked at that word. The mother brooded over her children. Her children. Our Ford, or our Freud, as for some inscrutable reason he chose to call himself whenever he spoke of psychological matters, our Freud was the first to reveal the appalling dangers of family life. Unpleasant as they may seem, students, these are facts. People used to be viviparous, gave birth to their children. What were the consequences? A world dominated by mothers and fathers was a world full of every kind of perversion, from sadism to chastity. There were also husbands, wives, and lovers.
Now everyone belongs to everyone else. Thank Ford for progress.
Thank Ford.
Actually, we still preserve a few outmoded ethics of pre-stable societies in our savage reservations. Did you ever visit a reservation, Director?
Yes, I once went to look at the savages in New Mexico. Well, that must have been 25 years ago. Mother's, father's marriage. Oh, very repulsive.
Yes. Well, here we are. I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye, Controller, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And now, boys, if you'll follow me inside the hatchery.
Mothers and fathers together revolting out on a reservation, like how people live
And
now.
here we are, a hive of activity. Alpha's superintending, Beta's doing the skilled work, Gamma's in green, busy at routine jobs, and Delta's in khaki, incapable of doing anything except sweeping the floor. Every member of society perfectly content to belong to his predestined caste. Except for a few criminal exceptions, which reminds me, one of those criminal exceptions is meeting us here at 11. An Alpha Plus, no less, Mr. Bernard Marks.
What has he done, sir?
What has he done? He refuses to participate in mechanical sports. He is Ah, here he comes now.
Good morning, Director.
Miss, you and Lenina Crown returned from the Savage Reservation last night, I understand.
Yes, sir. We visited some of the places you told me about last week, Director. In fact, we
Silence. Your attention, please. Everyone step this way. If I have interrupted your labors, it is because a painful duty constrains me. This man who stands before you, this Alpha Plus, the highest level of society, has grossly betrayed the trust imposed in him by his heretical views on sports and Soma, by his scandalous refusal to be promiscuous. He has proved himself an enemy of society, a subverter, ladies and gentlemen, of all order and stability, a conspirator against civilization itself. For this reason, I am ordering his immediate transference to a subcenter of the lowest order. In Iceland, he will have small opportunity to lead others astray by his unfordly example. Bernard Marx, can you show any reason why I should not now execute the judgment passed upon you?
Yes, I can.
What did you say?
You told me you visited the Savage Reservation 25 years ago, Director, with a young Beta Minus, I believe. You told me she was lost during a storm, and that you returned without her. I thought perhaps you'd like to see her again. Linda?
Thomas! Thomas! Oh, Thomas, it's me. Don't you remember? You're Linda. Oh, I knew I'd recognize you, Thomas. You look just the same. No one ages here. Thomas, look at me. I'm Linda. Remember? Hug me. Hold me.
What is the meaning of this? Who is this hag?
Thomas. Oh, Thomas, it's Linda. Linda, you're Beta Minus. John, look, it's him. It's your father.
Father. What's the meaning of this disgusting joke? Who is this savage and this dreadful woman? Take them away.
It isn't a joke. It's absolutely true. I'm his mother, and you're the father.
Father, it's me, John. I'm your son. And now who is guilty of antisocial behavior, Director?
Oh, no.
No moms and
father,
dads.
as director of
Get it?
hatcheries, it was out of the
1932.
question. The controller asked for his resignation, and all upper caste London was wild to see the savage and his mother. Bernard Marx became a hero, and even Lenina Crown had her share of reflected glory.
Good morning, Lenina.
Oh, good morning, Fanny.
Well, you certainly seem pleased with yourself.
Yes, I am pleased. Bernard called up half an hour ago. He has to go to a party at the controller's, and he asked me if I'd take the savage to the Feelies this evening.
Oh, lucky girl. What's he like, Lenina? I've heard he's terribly good-looking.
Oh, he is, but so very odd.
In what way?
Well, the day Bernard and I left the reservation, the savage came into my room. I'd taken a Soma, so I didn't notice him until suddenly I awakened, and there he was bending over me.
What happened?
Well, naturally, I assumed something was going to happen, but instead of that, he just ran out of the room.
Well, how odd. What a terribly ungentlemanly thing to do. Doesn't he like you?
Oh, I'm sure he does, so I can't make it out. And, oh, please don't tell this to anyone, Fanny. It upsets me, because I like him. I mean, I really like him.
Lenina.
I know it's immoral, but I just can't help myself. I do like him.
You're not allowed to like each other in the future. You can only fuck her. You can't like them. That's what they just said. Crazy.
The days passed. Success went fizzily to Bernard's head. His diffidence turned to bumptiousness. His nonconformity was forgotten, and he became completely orthodox. The resident world controller appointed him official escort for the savage and asked him to make regular reports on the young man's reactions to civilization. This Bernard did assiduously.
Reporting back.
Today I sent the savage to the Feelies with Lenina Crown. The feature was 3 weeks in a helicopter. Instead of holding the knobs on the chair arms, thus enabling him to experience the sensations of the lovers on the screen, the savage refused to participate. Lenina tells me he called the film vulgar and indecent. The savage refuses to take Soma and seems most distressed because the woman, Linda, his M-O-T-H-E-R, remains permanently on summer holiday. In spite of her senility and the extreme repulsiveness of her appearance, the savage frequently goes to see her and appears much attached to her. What do you mean you refuse to come down to dinner?
Bernard, I'm sick. I've eaten civilization and I'm sick.
Do you realize that I've invited the most important people in London tonight? The Ford Chief Justice is here. The arch community songster of Canterbury has flown in just to meet you.
You've changed, Bernard. You used to feel the way I do about things. I talked to Helmholtz Watson. He says you've changed, too.
I haven't. Listen, if you don't come downstairs for my dinner party, I'll be the laughingstock of London.
I'll come. Just let me read this to you first. One day, many years ago, I found this book in my mother's room. One of the Indians had found it in a cave. It must be hundreds of years old.
It's called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare. Oh, I've heard of him. We don't allow it. Smut.
But he says all the things I feel about Lenina. Listen to this. Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet my mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week.
Marriage? Oh, no.
Bernard.
Oh, marriage, that's too good, really.
Bernard, stop it.
And mother. Oh, sweet my mother. Oh, he's positively vulgar.
You stop
Wait
it.
till I tell Helmholtz about this.
Stop it, or I'll hit you.
Oh, come, now, where's your sense of humor?
Bernard.
Can't you see how funny it is?
Get out. I said leave me alone.
I'm leaving, John. I'm leaving.
How beauteous mankind is. Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. Bernard's getting wore out.
The next morning, a pneumatic young girl, crisply clad in a beta-minus viscose linen suit, stood outside the door of the Savage's apartment and somewhat nervously rang the buzzer.
Lenina.
You don't seem very glad to see me, John.
Not glad. Oh, if you only knew.
May I come in, then?
May I kiss your hand, Lenina?
My hand?
Admired Lenina. Indeed, the top of admiration, worth what's dearest in the world. I wanted to do something first to show I was worthy of you.
What are you talking about?
Lenina, tell me something. I'll do anything you tell me, anything at all. I'd sweep the floor if you wanted.
But we've got vacuum cleaners here. It isn't necessary.
No, of course it isn't necessary. But some kinds of baseness are nobly undergone. I'd like to undergo something noble, just to show you how much I love you, Lenina.
Do you mean it, John?
Yes, but I hadn't meant to say it, not until I... Listen, Lenina, on the reservation, people get married.
Get what?
For always. They make a promise to live together for always.
What a disgusting idea. Answer me this question, John. Do you really like me or don't you?
I love you more than anything in the world.
Well, then, why on earth didn't you say so? Come here to me, John. Hug me.
Oh, but, Lenina...
Hug me till you drug me, honey. Kiss me till I'm in a coma.
Lenina, what are you doing? No, get away from me. Don't come near me.
Hug me, honey.
You strumpet.
A dram is better than a dam.
Get out.
But don't you want
Get
me?
out of my sight.
Oh, John.
Before I kill you.
Oh, he's mad. He's gone mad.
Oh, thou weed, who art so lovely fair and smell'st so sweet that the sense aches at thee. Impudent strumpet, impudent strumpet, impudent strumpet. Hello. Yes, this is Mr. Savage. Who's ill? Linda. My mother dying. Yes, I'll come at once.
She tried to get it on with him, and he's like, "Get out of here, Lenina. You're like Layla. Get out of here. You're Lolita." No, that's the wrong one.
Welcome to the Park Lane Hospital for the Dying. You've come to see someone in the galloping senility ward?
Yes. My mother.
Oh, how vulgar.
You know who I mean. Linda.
Oh, yes. Room 43, bed 16. She'll be dying any minute now. This way, please.
Is there any hope?
Well, of course not. Or else she wouldn't have been sent here. Through these doors.
Kind of a bitch. Hey, I don't care. She's dying. Come on, this way. You want a pizza? With ice cream? Not even that.
What are these children doing here?
Death conditioning, of course. It starts at 18 months. Every tot spends 2 mornings a week in a hospital for the dying. All the best toys are kept here, and they get chocolate ice cream on death days. They learn to take dying as a matter of course. This way. Oh, here we are. Well, I must go. I've got my batch of children coming. Time for their chocolate ice cream.
Gross.
Linda, it's John. Your eyes are open, but you don't know me, do you? It's John, your son. Linda? Linda, don't you know me?
Hug me till you drug me, honey. Kiss me till I'm in a coma.
Linda. Linda?
Oh.
Mother.
The menial staff of the Park Lane Hospital for the Dying consisted of 162 deltas, 84 red-headed female twins, and 78 identical mongoloid male twins. At 6, when their working day was over, the 2 groups assembled in the vestibule of the hospital and were served their daily soma ration. It was into this crowd that the savage walked, so overcome with his grief and his remorse that he did not realize he was shouldering his way into the gathering throng.
All right, here it is, soma distribution. In good order, please. Oh, hurry up there. Stand in line for your soma.
Linda died because of this.
Oh, now don't grab. There's enough for everybody. 1 gram for an evening's delight, 2 for a trip to the gorgeous East, and 4 for a weekend in paradise.
How beauteous mankind is. How brave new world that has such people in it. Stop! Stop!
Mr. Savage.
Listen, I beg you, lend me your ears. Don't take that horrible stuff. It's poison.
Mr. Savage, please. The people are waiting.
You're slaves, all of you. Don't you want to be men? Don't you want freedom?
Freedom? Lord Almighty, call the police.
From somewhere behind the milling, angry crowd, Bernard Marx saw the savage. He and his friend Helmholtz Watson had been searching for John. Now they hurried forward.
Helmholtz, he's mad. They'll lynch him. Oh, Ford, help us.
Ford, help those who help themselves, Bernard. Come on.
Where are you going? Come back.
It's a fight, a real fight. I've been waiting all my life for this. Man at last.
I'll make you free whether you want to be or not. Give me those soma boxes.
Sir, Mr. Savage, no.
Stop it, Helmholtz. Join me.
Yes.
Throw the poison pills away.
By all means, throw them away.
Stop it.
Freedom! Be men and be free!
Over here, officers, this way. Give them the soma spray.
Stand up as men. Win your freedom.
Soma spray.
Win
John. Good.
your
John.
freedom.
Take them to the resident controller's office. All right. All right, it's all over. We're all happy now. We're so happy we all love each other, don't we? Oh, yes, we all love each other. Line up for your soma.
Lining up for a soma, that's like soiling.
You don't much like civilization, Mr. Sevi.
No, I don't.
John, you're talking to the resident controller.
We don't need your comments, Mr. Marks.
I think civilization is horrible.
And yet people are happy. They get what they want, and they never want what they can't get. They're well off, they're safe, they're never ill, they're not afraid of death, they're blissfully ignorant of passion and old age, they're plagued with no mother or father, they've got no wives or children to feel strongly about, they're so conditioned that they practically can't help behaving as they ought to behave. And you ask them to chuck this all away for liberty? My good boy.
All the same, it seems quite horrible to me.
Of course it does. Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery. And being contented has none of the glamour of a good fight against misfortune. Happiness is never grand.
They call this happiness. Working at an embryo assembly line, manufacturing babies.
Science, my boy. Besides, they like it. Well, Mr. Marks, the time has come. You are being sent to an island.
To an island? Oh, please, sir. Don't send me to Iceland. I promise I'll do what I should. I'll conform to the rules.
One would think he was going to have his throat cut, whereas if he had the smallest sense, he'd understand his punishment is really a reward. He'll be sent to an island where he'll meet the most interesting set of men and women in the world. All the people who weren't satisfied with orthodoxy. Everyone, in a word, who's anyone.
Then why didn't you go to an island yourself?
Because, finally, I preferred this. Sometimes I regret it. Happiness is a hard master, particularly other people's happiness. Well, gentlemen, there are many islands available. Which climate do you choose, Mr. Watson?
Well, I should like a thoroughly bad climate. I think I'd write better if I had to contend with difficulties.
How about the Falkland Islands?
That would be fine.
Good. You may leave now. You too, Mr. Marks.
Goodbye, Helmholtz. Goodbye, Bernard.
Goodbye, John.
Goodbye, John.
Why?
One more question.
Of course.
Where is God in this scheme of yours?
It's a subject that has always had a great interest for me. You've never read this, of course, the Holy Bible, New and Old Testaments. I've got quite a few revolting old books like that here.
But if you know about God, why don't you tell the people?
This book is old. It's about God hundreds of years ago, not God now.
But God doesn't change.
Men do, though. No, my friend, call it the fault of civilization. God isn't compatible with machinery and scientific medicine and universal happiness.
But when you're alone, it's natural to believe in God. When you're quite alone in the night, thinking about death.
But people are never alone now. We make them hate solitude, and we arrange their lives so that it's almost impossible for them ever to have it. No solitude. No God.
Is that why there's no self-denial here? No God? No reason for it?
Of course. Industry and prosperity are only possible when there is no self-denial. If there were, the wheels would stop turning.
But God's the reason for everything noble and fine and heroic.
My dear young friend, civilization has absolutely no need for nobility or heroism. You're conditioned so that you can't help doing what you ought to do. And what you ought to do is, on the whole, so pleasant. So many of the natural impulses are allowed free play that there really aren't any temptations to resist. Anybody can be virtuous now. No temptations, no inconveniences.
But I like the inconveniences.
We don't. We prefer to do things comfortably.
But I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. I want sin.
In fact, you're claiming the right to be unhappy.
All right. I'm claiming the right to be unhappy.
Not to mention the right to grow old and ugly and impotent. The right to have cancer. The right to have too little to eat. The right to live in constant apprehension of what may happen tomorrow. The right to be tortured by unspeakable pains of every kind.
I claim them all.
You're welcome.
The guy who wrote this is an asshole. He didn't give either character a good...
Bernard and Helmholtz left for their islands, but the savage was not allowed to go with them. The controller wished to continue the experiment. 3 weeks later, the savage ran away. After some days of wandering, he took refuge in an abandoned lighthouse. But his desire for solitude was not to be fulfilled. His hiding place was discovered. There were articles in the papers. Sightseers came by the thousands. One Sunday, Lenina Crown came for a picnic with 3 of her latest boyfriends. The day after her visit, 2 young reporters came to call, hoping for an exclusive interview. The door of the lighthouse was ajar. They pushed it open and walked into a shuttered twilight. Through an archway on the further side of the room, they could see the bottom of the staircase that led up to the higher floors. Just under the crown of the arch dangled a pair of feet. They called. No one answered. They saw him. At last the savage had found solitude. He was alone, quite alone.
That's the feet hanging. And he's like this. He hung himself. I knew that was coming. Spoiler alert. So he killed himself.
Thus concludes Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. We wish to thank...
Cool, huh? That was it. Stop. Okay. I'll make it stop. It worked. What'd you think? That was it. It's not even very long. Let me do 1984. That one's gonna be different. I have to go scavenge the Shadowlands on my shadow band and find a tape player. But if I can, I will give you my version of 1984. Why did I give you this version of Brave New World? It's probably what I can get away with. So let's see how that worked. So, yeah, that's the whole thing. I didn't leave anything out except for like the beginning. This is the recording of blah, 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 blah. I just took all that stuff out and I just gave you all this and the story and the end. So that's how it ends. The end of the death of love. He hangs himself. John the Savage. For whatever reasons in my mind's eye, I always imagine him looking like Paul McCartney. So I'd always say Paul the Savage instead of John the Savage, because I have some kind of weird Beatles thing with John and Paul or something in my brain that when I read the story many moons ago, don't forget to get Brave New World, the googly eyes. I always made John the Savage look like Paul McCartney, which isn't like a handsome man. Remember that? Lenina says, oh, he's really handsome. So what do you think about the story? Let's do a review now that it's over. You've got the feelies I'm always talking about. That's the movies. The movies have controllers, and when you hold on to controllers, it's like a joy buzzer and you feel sensations. Ooh, you feel whatever the lovers are feeling on the screen. There's a soma, 4 soma tablets. It's your cannabis, your weed. I need weed to go to sleep. That's my opinion. Your cannabis oils with CBD or whatever it is that makes you high in it. All that stuff. The human bloat hormone or whatever it is that makes you eat munchies. No, and they have alphas and betas. I told you this years ago. I said, look at how they're enculturating the word alphas and betas from Brave New World. It's from Brave New World. Because I used to always say that. I said, Brave New World, Brave New World. It's all about the alphas. It's all about the betas. And that's 1932. The book was written. So you have people calling each other all the time. Beta! Jesse Lee Peterson. What? Jesse Lee Peterson's not dumb. But like anybody watches that guy because everybody likes him, that would watch that guy's content. And he says, bury us! And you have Joe Rogan saying alpha and alpha brain. Is that Joe Rogan thing? So this is how predictive programming, social engineering works. Both those things, same thing, whenever, same ends. What's their ends? Brave New World. You see how people are saying the family doesn't matter and your kids don't belong to you, they belong to the state, they belong to the system, we all belong to each other is what they say in Brave New World. That's this idea of UN oneness and we're all one and everything's the same and we should all get the Bill and Melinda Gates eugenics, MIC education, one education globally translated in all languages or whatever. So yeah, like this is, Wayland Corporation, embryos made in labs and shit like everybody's made. Like from clones, Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones. George Lucas was talking about that stuff in the 70s because again, Brave New World, like Lucas, everybody that made movies that's alive, that's all your pop culture franchises that are being rewrit, they all know about this book. Spielberg, he knows about this book. He knows about this. He knows about Arthur C. Clarke. He knows about Milk and Magnesia and Suitcases. He knows about getting into Hollywood. That's just Spielberg. But Brave New World, this is the way that I give it to you. So what else is in there? No couples, marriage is disgusting. The idea that people would be parents is gross. You remember that like Silicon Valley asshole guy, and he's like, well, in the future there'll be some people that want to have families and stuff, and they'll live like ants and like ant colonies and stuff, and we'll let them have that. That's Brave New World. And what else did they say? The same things they always say in their political science books, that they'll go live in they'll go live as beasts rather, and that's a wealthy elite, and they can procreate and pair up for lifelong mates and stuff, and everybody else will not be allowed to do that. It'll be disgusting. But if you want to do that, John the Savage, then you have to get there. And he's like, fuck that, I'd rather go to the lighthouse, and then he kills himself. His alternative was to go someplace where he could pair up with somebody where they're allowed to do that. That's what they were saying there. Hey, there's a place you're allowed to do that. But it's weird because they call him John the Savage, and he's like a born baby made by parents, right? He lives with his mother, and his mother just wants to go back to the system because her father, because the director of Seaman or whatever is the father, is John's father, John the Savage. Remember John the Savage? So it's sad. So why did Aldous Huxley have him hang himself? Because Aldous Huxley's an asshole. So at every turn in a book, the characters, even the guys who are the good guys who figure out that the Brave New World sucks, have to recant and be hopeless and helpless and hapless, like I always tell you in my other episodes. Like they just have to go along with it. Like doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like so it has to be writ within the book. John's gonna kill himself, so don't even think about those other people over there, the elite that are having progeny. John, just kill yourself. See what I mean? Like that's what they want. If you don't fit into the system, phase yourself out of the system. Just fucking die, John. Or you want to go on the island, fantasy island. Maybe you could get in there because your father's genetics, because he was the director of Seaman or whatever. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. Julian Huxley wrote transhumanism. You know transhumanism? That's robot parts. That's what that is. That's man and machine melded together. Man as machine. Or machines being treated like men. Transhumanism. Whatever you call it. Cyborgs. That's the easiest definition of transhumanism. Cyborgs. People plugged into the Matrix. You get a little jacked in mind-fi thing. Oh yeah, that makes my arm work. My robot arm. I have a thing in my neck. Whatever. Servos, wires hooked up to neurons, impulses. It doesn't matter. That's transhumanism. I'm going to stay focused on Brave New World. I got a little bit lost there for a minute. So anyway, there you go. That's the extreme narcissism. Brave New World. Aldous Huxley. He read it. And now he is dead. Fuck him. What an asshole. Aldous Huxley. A Brave New World. I always use an example. The Feelies, the Orgy Porgy. The Orgy Porgy is just fucking people get together to have orgies. The swingers thing, they're trying to make swingers popular again in 2019. And have all these like disgusting partner swaps and shit like that. And that's so people don't stay together. Because obviously the way they live in a Brave New World is ghoulish and disgusting. When John's crazy mother is dying and he's tore up about it. The nurse is like, oh no, man, she's a goner. Forget about it, kid. Come this way. No, I want to watch her die. Here's a room. There's the box. She's going to go. Hurry up. And she gets in there and she dies. The sound effects were crazy, right? I think, like, across the board, when they do a thing like Brave New World and have Aldous Huxley read it, it's supposed to be absurd, like any sounds of revolt or fighting are going to be made, like there'll be weird buzzer noises made and all that stuff. There's no music. And you know what I mean? Like the music in a Brave New World is jingles. And what are jingles? The loss of melody and music. So jingles are just like, oh, I remember that catchy jingle. It's very catchy. So that's what people listen to the songs. They have horrible messages. And the song calls the girls a slut. And they go to the club and they hear that hip-hop song. And it says, y'all is sluts. And it's like, we don't care that it says that we are sluts. Yeah, you, the girls listening to this, to say they like the beat. They get up and say that they don't care that we call us sluts. You're sluts. Get up and dance to this beat now. Dumb, stupid slut. And like, I love that song. And they get up and listen to it. That's Tavistock. That's another episode. But this was Brave New World. Yeah, it's only an hour long to listen to it. So it's only a little bit longer than that to hear me talk about it. And I went too much into transhumanism. Maybe you want to check out Julian Huxley, Transhumanism. He wrote the book. He coined the term, if I'm not mistaken. And guess what we got coming? Yeah, I got to find a tape deck. I'm going to scavenge the Shadowlands, or I'm going to shadow ban either me or T. Either one of us finds one of these that works. And hopefully the tape works. It'll be a test. Ooh, the excitement. It's almost like an unboxing video. Without a thumb drive. Do you have any idea what dangerous I peed my pants to get you this. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get Brave New World for future Scott? Well, it's actually very easy, but you got to sneak into the smart cities. That's the tricky part. Why? So I can go back in time to play you shit that's readily available for you. Where? On YouTube for free. You can just listen to it for an hour without me interrupting it. But I want to fuck around with you and make monkey shines and faces and stuff. So that's what this was. So if you want to go find it, I will be sure to put it in my liked videos. Then take it and clip grab it as audio for yourself, and you can listen to it whenever you want to remind yourself that Aldous Huxley is a fucking jerk, and that's being too polite. But he is dead now. But guess what lives on? What he wanted us to live in, and we're living in it. That's what the SJWs are doing to us now. They're trying to get us to be like, families suck, mom and dad suck, and all the movies and cinema. This is the neocultural Marxism, where that big fat pig gets in the Marvel streaming series and says, I'm going to write the Kamala Khan TV show, but I'm also a cultural Marxist and I want to destroy the culture, and then we'll reshape it into the Brave New World. And this dumb fat cunt has to wash herself with betadine solution, doesn't even know what the Brave New World is. And they're warning the people that were alive when this thing was new and recorded that you listened to. That's from a long time ago. When that was new, the people alive that heard it would go, that's fucked up. We're so far away from that, we can't even imagine it in our minds. That's crazy. I'd never want to live there. That's science fiction. Oh, Aldous Huxley. So that's why they give the warning, like, this is a crazy future. You would never want to live there. But now people are like, yeah, I totally want to make a baby in an embryo lab. They're not going to let you do that. They're going to have that done. You wouldn't do that, right? You're not an alpha. You're below deltas. You're the mud rakers at the bottom of the ocean. You're the mud skippers. You're the bottom feeding flounders. What's below the deltas? The schmeltas, the schront, the schmelzes, whatever schmelzes. Shits. Out of here, the bottom, whatever. So anyway, terrible, right? And the food, it's like Soylent, lining up to get your Soma. Oh, we want to get our Soylent. Everybody's going crazy for it, but in Brave New World, they'll line up for it. In the Brave New World, they love it. And in Soylent Green, that's a movie with Charlton Heston. And in 1984, we'll get to that one. It's another thing about the death of love. Not unlike Panos Cosmatos' Mandy, where Nick Cage has to get revenge for the death of love. At least they gave you that. That's a movie. Alright? So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I gave you a whole bunch of recommendations. Brave New World, without me interrupting it, for free on YouTube. I'll put it in my liked videos. It's definitely going to be there. And a lot of people have the same recording I'm using, so I'm guessing I can do it with me talking over it and sound effects and stuff. And as a video, alright, with something to look at, me mugging doing Sherwood Schwartz monkey shines. I'm looking at you, Brady Bunch. Anyway, I'm looking at you, Disney Channel original acting, Sherwood Schwartz style of acting. Oh, the horrible miseries. That must have been Brave New World. When people and children don't matter, they have to get traumatized. They don't even traumatize them by letting kids watch rated R movies like you do to your kids and nieces and nephews. No, in Brave New World, they take their babies and they just show them, like, here, touch the thing that you would like. Don't like nature. Here's a flower. Bzz, you're gonna get shocked, kid. Here's a book. Don't read. Don't read. Don't have a character arc. Don't do anything. Just watch the feelies and touch the buttons. Touch the pleasure buttons. Do you get where I get all my bits from? Where I said they're gonna remove genitalia? This is for the subscribers of the show, who are the only people who would be here right now anyway, right? So anyway, in the future, I always say that they're going to remove people's genitalia and just give you a bunch of nerves clustered together, so you touch it and you have some kind of cums that are non-productive. Why? Because in a Brave New World, or like in China, no, I'm kidding, probably, but like in Westworld, where the people come out of the bags, and all those other shows that are grown in bags, like in Blade Runner 2049, people grown in bags. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, 1932. But it's before then too. It's like 1920 something is a copyright. I'm sure of it. So in 1932. All right. Anyway, still crazy that he would talk about where and how we live, where we're headed to. You know, they were ahead us with the Elon Musk future and what it'll look like in the Plandopolis. The Plandopolis. You didn't watch that video? Maybe we got to hit all three of them. Plandopolis, Brave New World, got that one. 1984. There you go. It's the unholy trilogy. And then what do we got to do? Childhood's End. No, I talked about that one a long time ago. I'm done with that one. That's old news to me. Anyway, other people talk that one up. It's just about the devil taking over the earth and taking the children on the planet to hell, and the earth explodes. Spoiler alert, that's Childhood's End, written by the guy who had the book inside the suitcase that Spielberg put in his first movie that was about anal sex and milk and magnesia and anal coitus that made Spielberg a star. Boy, do I know how to butcher a story. You know who you are if you're watching these. You're the subscribers. You're the only people I care about anyway, because I know you watch them. Anyway, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. I could have probably said 5 more things, but I'll be merciful with that and leave you with this. Be good.